This is the Fagor brand countertop halogen oven. Now, many of you who are avid viewers of my channel will say, Jay, did you get this at Aldi? And the answer is a qualified yes and no. I'll explain. Fagor is its own brand and Aldi does not sell it. But Aldi did sell a kitchen living brand countertop oven exactly like this that we got, and we absolutely loved it, until one day the cats decided they loved it more than we did. So we had to go for a replacement, which is this one here. Subsequently, Aldi had them again, and I did pick another one up to have as a spare for when this one goes out, because we do actually like it that much. This comes with the extender ring. Sometimes these are optional, sometimes they come with them, and really what it does is it just makes the capacity of it a lot larger. I'll take that off for you. Now you can see what it would look like without that. So pretty much what you have is a big glass bowl down here. This is also similar to something like the Flavor Wave and the Sharper Image something wave, or whatever they called it, Infrawave or whatever. It's all really the same stuff. They're just countertop halogen ovens. The one exception would be the New Wave oven, which is similar but uses a different technology for heating instead of an actual light. Like I said, this is a halogen oven. Let's go on the inside here. We'll get back to the controls and everything in a moment. And you have three different things in here. You have the dish at the bottom, which I usually just keep in there to catch drippings and juices and all kinds of stuff like that. There's the low rack. You can see that that's really at the bottom of it here, so you have all this distance here to keep whatever food. So if you're putting a big chicken in, which I'm going to be doing in a while, it'll keep it away from the heating element. Sometimes the chicken is even too close to the element, so I'll add the extender ring to raise it up even further. Yes, that does increase the cooking time a little bit, but even so, you end up with a better result. You also get the high rack. If you're doing something like a couple of pork chops or something, you want them close to it. So here's the top part, the cover for it, that just fits on like that. Everything on here is mechanical controls. There is a interlock switch for the handle there. It's a mechanical wind-up timer, and it will ding when it's done. And there's a real thermostat here. The underside of the lid here has a round halogen bulb. You can see the filament in there like that. And this thing in the center is a fan that blows the hot air out and around through these holes, through here, etc. And that blows the heat down and through the entire unit to cook what's there. So essentially what you have here is this lamp is going to give whatever you put in here a sunburn. That's really how it works. And how does it work? And the answer is very well. So I'll give you a quick run-up of what this actually looks like when it's turned on, and later I'll be putting a chicken in so you can see the results from it. And you can see the entire machine folds up for easier storage by inverting the top of it. You will have to position all of the racks in there in a certain way to get everything to fit just right. And I have not been able to figure out how to fit this guy in there along with it, but that can easily go on top like that, or along the side right here, and it just sort of sits there like that. It'll generally hang around, and it's such an oddball thing that it really isn't that much of a problem. This particular model uses a standard IEC connector and plug for the power cord. Okay, when you turn the unit on, you can see the halogen light lights up, and you can probably hear the fan that's there as well. So everything's on. Obviously the thermostat will turn the element on and off. There are two lights here. They are kind of hard to see even under normal indoor conditions. There's your power light, and the heating one will come on when the thing is on there. In fact, it doesn't look like it's even working any longer for some strange reason. No, it is, just barely. So I don't even count on that. There's no reason to, because you can just see the light there. Not do this with your halogen oven, but for demonstration purposes, that's what it looks like on the underside. Here's the electrical information sticker for anybody who's interested. Okay, here's about a 6.1 pound, so we'll just call it 6 pound chicken here. I've seasoned him up. You can use any kind of seasonings you like. I like to inject it with some teriyaki sauce, and then I have basically the Colonel's blend of 11 herbs and spices on it, so you can kind of make that up as you go along. Put it in breast side down because you don't want that to brown up too early. And now what we're going to do is put the top on and set the timer and temperature. Okay, I've set the temperature to approximately 350 Fahrenheit. And the time is going to depend upon how big the bird is. This is 6 pounds, we're going to say. So how long it's going to take is going to vary, really. Some days you'll do better than others on cooking time. It's better to err on the side of being too short than too long, because otherwise it gets dried out. So we'll say really it's about 15 minutes a pound, which would be an hour and a half. But I'm going to go about 10 minutes a pound, so that's going to be 60 minutes. We'll divide that in half because you're going to cook each side for half the time. So that's 30 minutes, just like that. And pretty much that's it. Just let her cook. Let it do its thing. Don't worry about areas that are browning a little faster than others. It sort of evens out. Like I said, this is pretty much going to give the chicken a sunburn here. And you do see the distance that we have there from the heating element to the top of the chicken. The parallax of the glass is actually changing what you're seeing here. From this vantage point here, the camera doesn't do it justice, but it looks like there's a good 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches, and that should be just fine to avoid the chicken from getting too burned. Other than that, it's pretty much a set it and forget it, walk away and come back later. When it hits the half-hour mark, you will have to flip it. I'll show you that and how it's coming along a little later. Well, we're about the 3/4 mark. Remember, we set this for a half hour. It's gone for 15 minutes. And it looks like in there it is starting to brown up nicely. Now, I think it is going to take a little bit longer than 10 minutes per pound, probably more like 12 or 13. You can see the halogen lamp has just shut off because it is up to temperature, and it'll cycle on and off as it goes. You can actually better see little places there where it's browning up very nicely. I think it is going to take a little bit longer than I had thought initially, but certainly coming along, and it just smells fantastic. And there we go. There's the first half, and a lot of you are going to say, Jay, you burned the crap out of it. Nope, it's going to be perfectly fine. It makes it actually even that more delicious when the skin browns that much. But I think for the top side, I'm actually going to put the ring in so it doesn't get overly done, because then it can start drying out and then nobody enjoys it, so there's no point. So here we are at about the halfway mark. I'm going to flip it over, and I think the other side will leave cooking a little bit longer. Yeah, I have them flipped over now, as you can tell. Those are just the lines, of course, from it sitting on the rack. To turn it, well, you're going to want some sort of gloves that are heat resistant. For me, I like to live the hard way, so I just used a big fork like this here and jam that into it, and just use a paper towel on the other end, and that worked just fine. So we're going to put this guy back on now and see where that takes us. Like I said, I'm going to put the ring on just to avoid over browning this side. Put that back in. I got to plug it in, and we'll turn it back on. Alright, we're about the 1/4 mark here, and you can see certain things like the leg there is starting to brown up nice, and I'm just going to let this chooch in here. Now, you can also use, depending on what you're doing, you can use this big rack and this tall rack here you can see with the thing on it, and that way you can put something like some potatoes or vegetables or something at the bottom. I don't really like doing that because then all of the chicken juices like get in that, and a lot of people say, oh well, that's all flavor, and they're right, it is all flavor, but the problem I have with that is it's also a lot of fat, and as you get older you try to cut that stuff out. In my opinion, you know, you played around with that stuff as a kid and you ate all your potato chips and all your ice cream and you never gained any weight and stuff like that. But you know what, as you get older, sometimes it's time for something a little better for you, and it comes out equally delicious. So anyway, I'll let this cook and I will show you the final result. And here is the final result. Looks pretty delicious. I can't wait to dig in. Everything is done absolutely to perfection. It's beautiful, and I'll cut into that in a few minutes. So halogen ovens, how do they differ from your regular oven? Well, they cook things a lot faster, because not only do you have the heat up top as opposed to on the bottom, but you also have the fan that circulates it around. And also, the heating element being on top, especially if it is a true halogen oven, like I said, gives the meat a sunburn, and that just makes it taste all that much more delicious. So this ended up being approximately 12 minutes per pound for everything. So that certainly cooked a lot faster than your regular oven. This is just hot enough I can touch it. I'll take that off. And it is time for dinner. That being said, I thank you very much for watching. If you do get a good price on a halogen oven, they really are all about the same. They're about the same wattage, and they'll cook really about the same across the board. You can make all different kinds of things in a halogen oven just like you would in a regular oven. All it's going to take is your imagination. Here's what I came up with. Thanks so much for watching. It's time for dinner for me. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.